some of the strongest student gains that we've seen have happened from some of the kids that were furthest behind.
What's up, everyone? This is Anthony Kim, and I'm excited to share with you this interview that I do with Don Soifer, who is the president of the Nevada Action for School Options, and he's running a network of small micro schools in the city of North Las Vegas called the Southern Nevada Urban Micro Academy. I hope you enjoy this interview. Kind of look out for the way he's been thinking about getting these going, how they set it up, and how they learned and grew from the experience. All right, peace, and I'll see you on the other side. All right, Don, nice seeing you today. Really excited to have this conversation because just fascinated by the work you guys are doing at Southern Nevada Urban Micro Academy.
Numa Pumas, that's right.
Yes, Numa Puma. So I love that. So, you and I have known each other for a while. And I remember when you were back in DC, you were a charter authorizer. And now, through the work in Las Vegas where you live now, with the pandemic and everything, you kind of popped up this micro school across the city in libraries and other civic centers with a partnership with the councilwoman there. And so I just love to get a backdrop on what actually happened and how this actually got formed.
So my nonprofit is Nevada Action for School Options. And one of the things that we've been focusing on was microschooling. So we started our Microschooling Nevada, Microschooling NV initiative. And as the pandemic hit and started, and it became very apparent that the Clark County School District was not going to be able to open for the 2021 school year. The forward-thinking and really innovative, terrific leadership, visionary leadership of the city of North Las Vegas invited in our nonprofit and asked us, they saw what we were doing with microschools generally in Clark County, and asked us if we'd be willing to run microschools in their rec centers and libraries for their residents, in-person learning opportunities that met the needs of their learners right now during the pandemic. And I jumped at the opportunity to really put into practice everything that we've been talking about that's possible in the ed reform and ed tech and personalized learning worlds, and really put it into practice right now for the benefit of some learners that have been underserved for their entire learning careers, and especially right now in these crazy times.
Well, I'm curious, how did the city council go with you instead of another charter organization or something to pop these things up? Because you would think that, another organization might have had the infrastructure that allowed them to do these things, or, am I understanding this differently?
Sure. Well, look at charter schools, right? Look at the best practices in the charter school world. You come in and you submit a charter school application in most states by July or August, or say that's the time frame. You're probably going to get a decision as to whether or not those schools are going to be approved by maybe December, something like that. And then you're going to be able to open 18 months after that. And sometimes that doesn't even happen. So that is certainly an opportunity to stand up a powerhouse of a charter school and really play to your strengths. But nobody had the luxury of that kind of time. When the city of North Las Vegas approached us, it was in early August, and we needed to find something that was going to meet the needs of their residents in 2 weeks. So that was what we did and turned on a dime. So my team, we stayed up all night and wrote a PowerPoint presentation with a plan and delivered it to them at our 9 o'clock meeting the following morning. And they were a little bit, bowled over because I've been a part of public-private partnerships before, and they don't normally work that smoothly and that efficiently. But this is a team at the government end here that really is able to do that. So we just hit the ground running we've got some absolutely fantastic partners that came to the table with us that really make all of this possible, like Cadence Learning for one.
Yeah.
And so being able to leverage all of that and do it like this, they were willing to take a chance on. And we launched, and we've had absolutely phenomenal academic growth, but also health safety success. And now we're in the process of doubling. And I think this program is going to just plain continue to grow. And when the city council of North Las Vegas voted on it in December, 2 of the members stood up and said they hope this never goes away. They hope that this is a big part of their future in education forever, and no longer relying on the big institutional school districts that we've always sort of conditioned ourselves to provide our education needs.
Yeah, that reminds me, I was talking with my publisher over at Corwin Press and a couple other publishers, and one of the things that they realized is they didn't have to plan 18 months to publish a book. They were forced to publish something in a matter of months. And I feel like same thing with, schools, they think 18 months is required to plan everything so perfectly, but we all know those plans never come to fruition exactly the way you envision it in the first place. And so I like the idea that you could actually plan and learn while you're like running these things in a matter of months and pop them up as needed to meet the needs of the community. What are like one or two of the first things like you learned that became like aha moments for you as you were operating these micro schools?
This is microschooling that's focused around equity and around fighting learning loss. So we needed to make sure that we were going to serve the kids that we needed to serve. And by and large, what we found, the kids that showed up at the very beginning of SNUMA were, 3/4 of kids were 2 grade levels or more behind in reading and math. We got exactly the kids that fit a profile of the North Las Vegas learner community that has been underserved by the Clark County School District for decades. We got exactly the kids we wanted to serve. And those same kids are really thriving. Some of the strongest student gains that we've seen have happened from some of the kids that were furthest behind. It was really my favorite aspect of this work. It really makes it professionally gratifying.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. When I came to visit some of your schools, the level of awareness and engagement by the students was through the roof. What made the student experience so different there than what you would expect from some of the other schools where students might have been pulled out into small groups in learning labs with digital content the same way you guys are delivering?
It's been a fantastic all-in effort by a really great team and some really great partners. So look, if we get this right now, these kids are going to remember this for the rest of their lives. I mean, what we're competing with is a child being left at home by themselves during the day with a jar of peanut butter because their single parent household has to go to work during the day because people have to work. That's not like the circumstances that we've had anywhere else. So the families and the kids themselves, I mean, when you get a first grader who has only had half a year of kindergarten because of the circumstances the year before, that's who we're starting to work with. These kids are pretty far behind, and we're introducing a really great hybrid learning model that combines whole group and small group direct instruction with personalized learning tools. But these kids are basically at a level that you would expect from someone that's only had 3 months of kindergarten. The buy-in that we've had to get that buy-in, you need to have a really forward-thinking superintendent who really gets it, and leadership in each school, and then a core of teachers that really buy in, and then ultimately the students and the parents to really buy into goals and the active learner paradigm that all their decisions matter. All of that happened within about 4 weeks here. It was really, really exciting to see. And it's the work we do for the reasons we do it really working at its best.
Yeah. So indulge me for a little bit because, one of the things after checking out the schools is I was thinking of, like the families you serve probably work at casinos and hotels and restaurants that are open 24 hours. So after that visit, I've been just like so focused on this idea that learning opportunities or like formal education should be open 24 hours in Las Vegas. And I mean, it could look different ways. Like maybe, there's kind of traditional schooling an option, but there's also like micro schooling options at different times of the day that are available, maybe taking over some of the civic buildings because, they're closer to home or something. There could be online advisory services or mental health services for students, or even counseling services online at all hours of night because their parents might be working or whatever. So when I think about Las Vegas, like the opportunity to have like open 24-hour schooling system is interesting and thought-provoking for me. So from your experience with this, like, where can micro schools fit into the landscape of formal education that we know in school systems?
Yeah, I love it. And our work is really a sort of a distinctly Nevadan approach, right? So it's not going to look like it does in maybe a wealthier Connecticut community where you hear about microschooling. But I don't know if microschooling as we have it here is the future of education, but really, really and truly believe that has an important market share in the future of education. I don't know if it ends up having a 10% market share in Clark County, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if it did.
This kind of reminds me of that situation where, it's kind of like Uber, right? It's like there was a gig economy that got created, and it disrupted the taxi medallions. It disrupted black car service. In some ways, it disrupted public transportation. I kind of feel like there's like a gig education economy kind of structure that microschooling could allow for, and still like be in the fabric of everything else that exists, whether it's charter or public school systems or private schools. But how do these things coexist from a policy perspective, you think?
Yeah, again, it's a real coalition of the willing, right? You have a municipal government that does not control the big county school district that wants to do something for its own residents. So they're motivated to do that. Originally, they were able to use federal CARES Act dollars, but when they renewed the program, because we're doing this all in, so it's an amazing partnership really to see how this works, right? It's in the rec centers that the city already operates. So my nonprofit provides the teaching and learning program, and our city partners run the rec centers. They provide breakfast and lunch for kids every day. They provide the facilities cleaning and handle the IT. So it's a really working relationship in place every day, and that they were really motivated to do it to serve their kids.
So if you were to talk to, let's say, the chief HR person at MGM, how would you compel them? Like, how do you make that argument to them or to a city council person that this is a viable solution to meet the needs of their employees or their community?
So again, so if you look at the cost, right, the actual costs are rather low when you have community nonprofits like ours willing to jump in and do it, and some incredible philanthropic partners that are willing to get involved as well.
And there's a lot of those people that would want to do that. Yeah,
they really are. The key is being able to show that you can make a difference. And our academic growth has really captured a lot of local and national attention. So I think that's important. And again, if you look at what the alternative is, which is people have got to work, right? So a lot of our families are, essential employees or people in first responder world or people that have a crucial role, have to go to work. And if you've got employees that have to go to work, we're competing with leaving your kid at home alone with a jar of peanut butter, which is not what anybody wants. And so much, it's a model that has, every dashboard we have has so much opportunity for parental engagement. The amount of involvement that we have from our parents and the grown-ups in these kids' lives, right, who are often not parents, is really on par with some of the most powerhouse charter school operations I've ever had the chance to work with, the rocket ships, the KIPs. And we're able to achieve that here in a low-income community that people tell us it's not just so much that SNUMA is a better alternative than what was happening during the pandemic for their kids. This is the best education and schooling that these families have ever experienced. And all of that is happening for an overall all-in investment that's probably about a quarter of what the per pupil funding is in the district. I can imagine that employers and civic partners would have to recognize the incredible opportunity there.
Yeah, and I think the other thing you're saying is this is very doable. Like anybody can, with the right amount of effort, you don't have to, there's no secret sauce to getting these things done, and there's no perfect way. You just have to put the effort in. For anybody kind of thinking about this for the first time, what is it that you think really helped kind of set you up for success in getting this, to be successful last year?
Yeah, it's really a mindset where you just can't afford to fail, and you've got people together that you want to get it done. And honestly, the challenge really for me and for leading the partnership from the nonprofit point of view is a management challenge, right? So instilling a culture of continuous improvement, management by walking around, being a constant force in the building all the time. So anytime, there's a kid's mask slips or any sort of health, you can't afford any lapses in health safety.
Right.
And just constantly, we in the beginning had to move around some guides into different roles to really maximize it. We really added a layer of, so we've got maybe 15 kids in a classroom. We for health safety reasons, it's capped at 18, but we keep it at 15. But we also use guides in a learning interventionist role in a way that really makes a difference, right? So if kids are, especially younger kids, are getting a lot of their teaching and learning in a personalized learning environment through digital content, how can we really figure out the best way to support that to make sure that kids are learning Common Core math in a meaningful way and in a way that works for them. So constant iteration is something you need in any personalized learning environment. And it's really a management exercise to instill that and just maintain it throughout as the program. But if there's been a secret sauce, it's that, and just our incredible team just showing up and being present every day in incredible ways. And if there's one takeaway, it's that anybody can do this. If I can do this, if our team can do this, and if anyone out there wants any help in figuring out how to structure a municipal services contract to get this done, I'd love to help anybody that wants to do it.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks, Don. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Don. I went to visit those schools and they are really cool. Like, people just love them because the students there just feel so welcome. The adults there feel like, they're really making a difference. Kind of the lesson I wanted to leave you with. They couldn't plan for this, right? Like, no one could have planned for COVID, but I asked him like why the city went with him versus another organization that had already maybe a system in place, like a charter network or something, or a private school network. And they were willing and able. They were able to turn stuff around quick. And so because they didn't have all of the systems and infrastructure, they were able to move quicker than everybody else. And that's just like the need to kind of plan for change, not perfection, just like moving forward, getting the work done and learning from that process. Two, I really felt that they thought about roles differently. When Don was working on this, he's like, here's the work that needs to be done. Let me figure out what I could do. Then let me figure out if there's other people that could do this set of work and another group that could do this set of work. Instead of saying like, here are the people, and then let's figure out how to divvy up the work. And so that gave him a lot of clarity around what the work needs to be versus who the people are. There's a lot for us to learn as to how his micro schools got started, but also how they maintain and grew, and how they continue to kind of read the audience or read the community and understand what their needs are, and shifting towards that, being nimble as they shift towards kind of the changing needs and conditions in the city of North Las Vegas. All right, peace.